When the beat drops, you know exactly what time it is. Hello and welcome into another episode of The Blitz. I am Evan Closky, joined as always in the film room with my dude, David Schiele.
Always a pleasure to be with you, EC, and we have a fantastic show for you guys today because we're breaking down this juggernaut of a matchup between the Bucs offense and the Chargers defense. Also, what's the deal with all these Baker Mayfield turnovers? And they're not the delicious apple kind, I can tell you that right now.
No,
Plus, we keep it a buck, dissecting some of Tampa Bay's sound bites this week. I love this segment.
So let's get started. This is the 10 and 10, the 10 most important storylines you need to know before kickoff in LA. This is the 13th meeting between the two teams. The Chargers are 8-4 in the series, but have not beaten the Bucs since 2004, losing the last three meetings. The Bucs are riding a three-game winning streak, getting north of 500 once again. And let's add another three. The Bucs are playing their third straight game against a team that lost to the Chiefs the week prior. Of course, in national news this week, Bill Belichick is heading back to the college game, coaching the University of North Carolina. Only three coaches in the history of football have won a national championship and a Super Bowl. That's Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, and Pete Carroll. So Belichick is looking to become number 4.
Unless Jim Harbaugh beats him to the punch, Evan, because he won a natty with Michigan last year, and he is readjusting to the NFL just fine. The Chargers are doing so well that they might be right back into the playoffs. And at number 9, Harbaugh ball was instilled quickly in Los Angeles. This is a man who has never had a losing season at the NFL level, boasting a 57-27-1 record if you count the postseason. The Bucs know they have their work cut out for them against a fundamentally sound team like this.
I mean, huge up front, both sides of the ball, stop the run and run the ball. They do a very good job of time of possession. They can play action and hit you deep. Quarterback can do a lot of things, but the hallmark, they don't beat themselves, so we got to play clean football.
At number 8, Baker Mayfield has a case of the whoopsies again. The Chargers offense ranks first in the NFL with only 6 giveaways. Mayfield had half of that last week against the Raiders. Baker had 10 picks last season. This year he's already up to 13. He's also lost 5 fumbles. The carelessness with the rock was always a knock on him during his time in Cleveland. So let's bring in our good friend James Yarko for the Locked On Bucs Burning Question of the Week. James, what is the difference between last year and this year for Baker? What does he have to do to stop the bleeding with these turnovers?
Well, I think the main difference between last year and this year is last year he only had one game with multiple interceptions, but he's thrown interceptions in 7 games, and only twice has he kept it to 1. So the interceptions are coming in bunches for Baker Mayfield. If he throws one, he tends to throw another one. And I think he's just trying too hard at times. You could also say the same about the uptick in sacks. He's starting to hold the ball a little bit longer than we saw over the course of the first half of the season. Maybe a reason for that is he's trying to force Mike Evans the ball. We know how important that streak is for Mike Evans in the eyes of Baker Mayfield. He wants Mike to continue that 1,000-yard streak. So that was leading to problems against the Raiders last week. So if they want to stop with these turnovers from Baker Mayfield, he just needs to relax. And I realize that's easier said than done. I think the more he does that, the more we are going to see the successful Baker that we saw before the bye week. Even though the Bucs weren't winning, Baker was still playing fantastic football. And once he gets back to that, we are going to see this offense really continue to take off.
Thank you, James. Baker is going to have quite the test against this LA defense. They rank number 1 in points allowed per game at 15.9. They rank 5th in sacks with 39, 8th in passing defense, and 11th in yards allowed. In sum, these boys, good. At number 7, this game is strength versus strength. You have a defense that has only given up more than 20 points twice this season, facing an offense that has scored more than 20 points in 10 games. Tampa Bay might have the biggest advantage with its potent rushing attack, considering the Chargers give up 4.6 yards per carry. That ranks in the bottom half of the NFL. Meanwhile, at number 6, this Buccaneers defense may not have played the best opponents, but since the bye in Week 11, that unit has given up the least amount of points. Also, only one team has more sacks than Tampa Bay since October, and that's the Denver Broncos. They lead the entire league in that category. They're hoping to take advantage of a hobbled Justin Herbert in this contest.
Yeah, David, that would be a bigger story if the Buccaneers weren't so hobbled themselves. This is the craziest sideline segment we have ever had. We've been doing the Blitz for a few years now. You know the deal. The faces pop up. We talk about them. We move on. This is just page one. We needed to build 2 full screens for this segment because 20 players popped up on the report. Here's a list of guys who will not play in the contest. Now we go to this page. These were the 6 dudes listed as questionable after practice on Friday. Bucky Irving barely got going last week before getting shut down. The safety room absolutely obliterated right now. The hope is a clump of these guys can suit up in LA, but we'll see.
We will see a whole bunch of injuries and a partridge in a pear tree. Last week, the team brought in Ryan Neal as an extra body. This week, linebacker Deion Jones got the call. He is famously remembered in our area for intercepting Jameis Winston's final pass as a Buccaneer. The 9-year vet can certainly help this injury-riddled group, but you wonder how quickly can he pick up this defense. At number 4, it took rookie Jalen McMillan some time to pick up the offense, but finally, it looks like he's turning a corner. McMillan easily had the best game of his young career last week, scoring twice against the Raiders. He's been targeted 12 times since the bye week. With Mike Evans getting all the attention, the Bucs could really use McMillan's help in the passing attack.
So let's use this as a launching point into number 3. Keeping it a buck.
One of my favorite segments. This is where we listen to sound bites from coaches or players and tell you what we think they'd really want to say, if they were to keep it a buck in front of the microphone.
So let us do the dirty work for you. Let's start with Liam Cohen talking about Jalen McMillan's resurgence recently.
That's the guy that we've wanted to be out there, and he's starting to prove it. He's starting to show it, and hey, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, a little bit different timelines, but been really happy with his energy, his level of focus, concentration throughout the practices, the walkthroughs.
If we're keeping it a buck, Liam Cohen is saying, look, this kid came to the dinner table and ate 3 scoops of some humble pie when entering the league. We know Jalen McMillan can ball, but can Jalen McMillan be a pro? Can he show up every day to the facility and do the little things necessary to earn the trust of his teammates and coaching staff? In the middle of the year, we weren't happy with them. Right now, this is a dude who is starting to get it. All right, next up, Casey Rogers on defensive adjustments after the bye week.
The team has told us what they are. And now we can't do this. They told us we can't do this. It's evident we can't do this, but also they showed us we can do this, so let's do what they can do.
If we're keeping it a buck, Casey is saying, man, did we stink it up in the first half of the season. We thought maybe some patience with our system would help the guys get up to speed, but nah, patience turned into stubbornness. So we were brutally honest with the tape, brutally honest with the coaching, and now you're seeing us perform much better because of it. Here's one more bite for you on the Bucs getting back atop the NFC South.
Well, just like I'm telling these guys, just because we're in first is one thing, staying first is a whole nother deal. We got 4 weeks to play. We're happy to be playing meaningful football in December. We understand what that means, and we got to go out every week and try to squeeze out these games, but it feels good.
If we're keeping it a buck, Todd wants to say, did you watch us for half of that Raiders game? Did you watch us for a chunk of that Panthers game? We have beaten 3 teams who combined have the same amount of wins as we do right now. We're in first, cool, love that. But if we go around the locker room thinking we've accomplished something, or we think we're going to just waltz right into the playoffs because now we're in first, we are going to get annihilated heading to Los Angeles this weekend, and we will not make it to the big dance.
All right, let's transition into number 2 and what the playoff situation looks like. According to the New York Times playoff simulator, Tampa Bay has a 72% chance of making the postseason. If they beat the Chargers, that number shoots up to 88%. If they lose, it drops to 60%. So not terrible, but obviously still a lot on the line. Here's the thing. Tampa Bay has been thriving in these December and January games recently. Since last year, the Bucs are 7-1 in those months. That winning percentage is tied for the best in the NFL. Dating back to the Super Bowl year in 2020, the team is 19-5 in December and January. At number 1, it's the giving season, and many Bucs spent time in the community this weekend helping Habitat for Humanity Hillsborough. Bucs players donated funds towards the build of a new home in East Tampa. Many also chipped in with a hammer and nail. Many more holiday events are coming up for the team as we approach Christmas in a couple weeks.
Speaking of the holidays, let's put a bow on this show with the all-out blitz. Let's start with the parlays, and we are due. For me, I don't see a big chunk play via the air in this one. I also think Mike Evans gets more action after last week, and Rachaad White utilized a bit more in the passing game.
For me, I've got Baker throwing another pick, respectfully. It doesn't even have to be your fault, Baker, if you are watching this, because I know you do watch sometimes. Opportunistic Chargers defense, that's what you're going to hear a lot. So I think there's just one pick in there, might not be your fault. I think checkdowns to the tight end will play a factor, so taking the over on Cade Otton catches, and then my typical safe bet with Chase McLaughlin. He's nails.
Chase. As for what we got cooking on 10 Tampa Bay, it's a doubleheader. We got Miami, Houston at 1. Then this howitzer riding side by side with the Bucs, a potential Super Bowl preview between the Lions and Bills. Checking out our Blitz picks record. David and I have been racking them W's up since the Bucs have been heavy favorites recently, but maybe today will be a little bit different since the Bucs are underdogs. David, you're on first. You get to go.
Yeah, so I'll go first. We did not bring it up today, but Todd Bowles is winless on the road against the AFC as Bucs head coach. That does not change this weekend. I do think it'll be close, but you're going to have to give me the Chargers winning on a last-second field goal, 17-16.
I really wanted to pick the Bucs, but I'm worried about the defensive injuries. We're thinking the same thing. Give me LA to snap its 11-game losing streak in matchups decided by 3 points or less. I got 24-22 Chargers. But hey, we both got the Bucs covering, right? So there's that.
That's fine.
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of The Blitz. Remember, kickoff from Los Angeles is at 4:25. Next week, Tampa Bay heads to Dallas to play in prime time. I'm Evan Closky. That is David Schiele. This is The Blitz. We'll see you same time or same place next weekend.